Hey, welcome to the Northeast Business Podcast. Hi, Jess.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. So, hi, my name is Glen Laws, and I'm joined by our amazing office manager, Jess. So,
Woo.
Jess, thanks for joining us on the test, the crash pilot. um, yeah, so we started a new podcast and YouTube channel called the Northeast Business Podcast. The whole goal is to add value to new starts, new entrepreneurs, and current business owners as well. We've got a ton of guests lined up over the next few weeks, which are from energy coaches to international sales directors. So we've got a ton of people over the next few weeks. But for the first one, where we guessed there was going to be lots of mistakes, errors, technical
Uh-huh.
glitches. We thought we'd make the mistakes first on a story about my background and where I've come from. And just the last hour has been eventful getting this set up. But you should be natural, this being a ex-radio host.
I know, yeah, it's like taking me back. I'm just ready to chat away for the next however long and get stuck in.
Yeah, I was also laughing when I was driving to the office thinking when we were going to record this that your Irish accent, my Durham accent. It's probably two
Yeah,
of the hardest accents for people, nothing that obvious to understand. So I think we'll both have to remind each other to slow down throughout this next interview.
definitely put some subtitles on the YouTube or something like that.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Cool. So, Jess, shall we get?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of let's dive right in. If you want to, maybe just do a little introduction, who you are, what it is that you do, what kind of business that you're in at the moment.
Yeah. So, I've been in business now for it's close to 17 years. Ran a few different businesses over that time. Currently, I run a direct sales business, so we train up uh, people to do direct sales for different clients within telecoms, energy, finance, and we've got teams situated all over the UK. Previously, I've coached and managed teams across the US and also across the UK. So that's one of my businesses. I also have a holiday home business, which I run along. I say run with my wife. She does all the work. Yeah, it's an AGL holiday home, so that's been going for just over 6 years now. So uh, we run that for where it's got like hot tubs. It's dog friendly. So if you're looking for like a chilled out break next to some streams. It's lovely. So yeah,
Nice.
that's one business. And then the third one is a company called Optimize, where we supply products to businesses. So anything from card payments, finance options, and energy. So yeah, they're the three businesses that I run right now. And over the years, I've been involved in other parts of business too. So I thought I could maybe share a few words of wisdom for the startups, but also secretly I'm wanting to learn a lot from the guests that we get on as well. So I'm really excited to learn lots over this these episodes as we record.
Definitely. And I suppose what was the overall why of wanting to get into business, like be your own kind of business owner? Because I know when we first met like nearly a year ago now, I learned that you came from like a construction background and stuff like that. So I was a bit like, whoa, like working in construction to now like obviously running your own businesses. What was the kind of overall shift in wanting to do that? And what was that kind of overall journey with kind of what was the first steps in doing that?
Um, I think when I was younger, I always wanted to be my own boss, so to speak, but I didn't know what it was going to be in. I'm coming from a small town, Bishop Auckland, County Durham. I kind of just went along with my friends, and we all got different trades, and I kind of fell into sort of construction because my GCSEs weren't anything to sing about, and neither were my A levels, so it gave me very limited options, shall we say. So I got into construction, and I enjoyed it. Worked for a national company, started off as an apprentice. There was 3 years as an apprentice joiner, became then a fully qualified joiner, into foreman joiner, and then got to an assistant site manager. And I started enjoying managing people and being able to help people. And then I was about 23 then, and then I got made redundant when this is show my age, a few recessions ago now.
Uh-huh.
Got made redundant, and the only skills I had at the time was music. So I played in a band at the time and used to be a music promoter in my spare time to make a couple extra quid. Ran a music festival. So I enjoyed sort of people skills and doing some
Hmm.
sales. Then on the self-employed joinery part, I thought, right, let's try and put them together. So became a self-employed joiner, and that's where I kind of fell in love with being able to manage your own timetable. So the time there wasn't a lot of work about, so I enjoyed
Yeah.
the time, but I wasn't making the money that I wanted to. So I started applying for some of the jobs, and I wanted to get involved in sales because I thought if I could learn like sales professionally, because I kind of just been self-taught through the music scene. I thought if I can learn some sales skills, maybe that'll do me well. Because literally my CV just said I could play guitar and put bits of wood together, and at the time we weren't very well paid. So fell into sales, um, and this was back when I was 26, so what, 2011. So started working for a direct sales company who was doing door-to-door sales, and at the time we were selling loft insulation grants, so we'd go around and knock on someone's door and then go in and check the lofts and sell them a grant to help insulate the homes and save the money. So I did that for a year and learned how to become good at sales and training other people in sales. Uh, and then was it still the same question here?
Hmm?
Is this am I going off on a tangent? Is this the
No,
same?
no, we're on the same question.
Yeah.
Absolutely go for it.
So yeah, from that, that's how I kind of got into running my own business, because the client then said, "Look, do you want to run your own team? Do you want to work there like for us?" And after a year of training people for someone else's business, that's when I got the chance to run my own sales business. So there's lots of little things which kind of triggered the next point.
Hmm.
And so yeah, looking back, when I got made redundant, I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened, but turns out that was one of the big changes and probably the best thing that happened in my life. Otherwise, I could have ended up working for some construction company for however long you wanted us.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely sounds like it was more of a blessing in disguise, I suppose, and never knew that you were in a band.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
wild. That is wild. And I suppose obviously like working in sales, it's definitely like a very like high stress job. It's very target focused, it's very numbers focused. So what do you do at the end of the day to really just like unwind, to kind of switch off? Like how do you avoid burnout, I suppose, from doing all of this?
Well, I've got two young kids at home,
Yeah.
so getting to see them definitely takes your mind off sales and numbers and targets that you're hitting for different clients. And I wouldn't necessarily say the kids wind you down straight away when you get home, because like I say, 4-year-old in 18 months, they're brilliant, but that's definitely something which helps me take my mind away from it. And my wife's always very good at bringing me back down as well, and tell me to be more present. So I
Hmm.
think that's one thing, is I've got a good support network at home with my wife and kids. Um, my daily routine, which is something I really worked on over the last sort of, especially 3 or 4 years, is getting a routine of going to the gym in the morning, whether it's treadmill or doing weights, and then trying to get a steam room or sauna. Definitely that I think that clears your mind for the day. And that was one thing which has definitely helped me, because it was probably something which I wasn't very good at in my early days in running a business. I'd just be so hyper focused. I'd do this all the time, and then I'd keep burning out and not realize why it was happening. But it's because I wasn't, I suppose, looking after myself and giving myself them breaks. So regular sort of little mini breaks away. So long weekends, and then a couple of holidays a year. We're looking forward to one in a couple of weeks actually. So I think that's a key part. And then I have a couple of friends. I think as you get older, your circle of friends gets a little bit smaller. So yeah, I think having some friends where you can go and just talk football, or go and talk about like normal stuff which isn't
Yeah.
business, and try and take yourself away from it. And that's something which I've definitely had to work on over the last few years. It's funny because I can see people who we coach and train in our businesses, where they're some of the age I am when I started out, and I can see they're so like
Hmm.
focused on doing this, which is great. But sometimes you can see that where they have that burnout, you can do like a big run for maybe 8 to 10 weeks, and then you have that
Yeah.
2 weeks where you kind of plateau, or your performance dips a little bit. I think it's because you don't look after yourself, or you don't give yourself time to switch off.
Yeah, 100%. I think like as well, people might lose sight of what their why is. I think that's like a massive thing to really like stay focused on of like why you're doing this, like what is the end goal for you. And I think that really ties into um, my next question is, obviously you started, like you say, when you were 26, you have nearly 20 years experience within this industry. You have a lot of industry knowledge. So what would you tell, let's say me, for example, I just got offered a sales job. I'm, starting off, like what is your advice to somebody, day one, what you wish you had learned when you first started?
Uh, Day one when I started,
Do you remember your first day?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, so scared. Yeah, it's weird because I'd been self-employed already, and I'd worked in music and done like say like I think about 300 gigs we've done on played on stage to crowd. So walking into a training room with maybe 10 other people there, you would have thought that wouldn't have been nerve-wracking, but because it
Yeah.
was outside your comfort zone, I walked in my first day and I was pretty terrified. So I'm gonna go and give that guy a cuddle and tell him that everything's gonna be all right. Um, but yeah, I think if you're coming into sales and you haven't done it before, um, I would definitely say give yourself some time and surround yourself with people who you can look at and say, right, I like what they're doing. They're in a position where I want to be in, and go and spending time with them. Uh, and you'll know as well, just from working, especially in the office side of things for us, a lot of people come in and unfortunately it's easier for them to connect with a person who's starting on the same day as them,
Yeah.
and they end up bouncing ideas backwards and forwards. And unfortunately, they aren't the best people to learn from in the business. So if I was starting off and speaking to Glen on day one and just wanted to learn some sales skills, it would be go and spend time with the people who are performing the best, the people who are, and you can ask your coaches and ask the mentors and anybody who you work with, your leaders, who are the top performers, and what have you got to do to go and learn from them people. I I think also if you're serious about getting into sales as a profession, is actually do some extra learning yourself. It's so easy to do. Think about it. You can go on YouTube and type in sales training, and you'll see some video like this or another million videos
Yeah.
teaching you how to do sales, and there's endless books out there and podcasts and audibles. So there's tons of information out there if you go and look for it, and if you want to get better at it, if you want to become a sales professional. Do you think about if university, college, everyone does homework, everyone does home studies, whereas if you're coming into something you want to make a career from, why would you not invest that time? Because once you've learned
Hmm.
the information, that's yours to keep. So yeah, I could definitely help Glenn out on day one because
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
needed.
100%. I think it is just like being like a sponge, just really taking in everything you can, especially on your first day. I know it's like really overwhelming, but it is just like you say, being present, learning everything, writing everything down. And I know for me as well, like I'm always searching like how to be the best recruiter, how to close people. Like it's just always like wanting to learn and wanting to develop yourself. And obviously, how do you personally develop? Like, is it just stuff you're doing in your personal life that really reflects into your work life, or what is your biggest tips on developing? Like, what should people be doing? What should people be reading, watching?
I think if anyone's new to business, so like again with this the whole podcast and YouTube channel that we do, and it's for all different businesses. It's not just necessary sales, which is where I
Hmm.
started in. I think working on your mindset is a huge thing. So the books I got told to read when I very first started was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Uh, that's always a great go to. Think and Grow Rich. They're sort of like two of the ones that you're always going to go to first. Um, they were key books I read early doors as well. And that's all about developing your mindset and learn how to interact with people and how to get people to like you. Sounds really simple, but
Hmm.
still not a lot of people, not everyone possesses.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I read it a bit. I'll be honest, come from construction, I prefer to listen to an audiobook than read. But I think that's because I can listen to an audiobook whilst I'm maybe doing something else as well. So
Yeah.
like a key thing I changed was I stopped listening to the radio as much, and when I'm driving, like especially for business meetings, sometimes we have to travel to Birmingham or London, up to Glasgow, wherever it is. Like some people see that as like a negative. Oh, I'm going to be stuck on the motorway for 5 or 6 hours there and back. Well, for me, I see it as a positive because I get the chance to listen to an audiobook or maybe listen to
Hmm.
podcasts. And yeah, that's one of the big ways I personal development. I think having a mentor that you trust, and a mentor who's in the position that you want to be in as well. So I have
Yeah.
a mentor in sales and in business as well, and he's got a lifestyle where I look at him and think he's got success, he's got things which I want to get to. So I like to learn from him, and I'm always asking questions from anybody who I can see that's in a position I like to be. You know, even if they know something that I don't know about certain products, like we've taken on some new products in one of our other businesses where knew nothing about. So the goal was just to become an absolute sponge and student and learn
Yeah.
from them. 6 years ago when we bought the holiday home, we knew nothing about that. So we learned from all the other people who were experts in that area as well. So I think that's how I personally develop is learn from people who are good at the areas I'm trying to get better in. But then also when I'm driving about is that's when I get my podcasts and Audible done.
Yeah, 100%. And I know obviously you said like, as a business owner, you've got other different kind of things that you're working on at the moment. Obviously you have, your holiday homes, you've got Optimize as well. I know from like setting these up, like they're obviously wasn't easy. Like was there any notable like problems that you can remember, like how you overcome them? Like I'm sure there's definitely a lot, but I can imagine it's not easy, especially for a first time business owner. Like just really like getting on their feet, setting everything up like from scratch.
Yeah, gee, like I think the start of every business that we've started and see like a bunch of problems. I remember we had the holiday homes, for example, we turned up on day one and everything was supposed to be ready, and we were still like putting the fence up and things like that. And
Yeah.
luckily, being a carpenter or an ex-joiner, I was able to grab my tools out the boot and give them a hand and help get the fence up in time. But that's definitely how we didn't envision that business starting. Um, the social media pages, which you have to learn how to run as well. And again, I'm not taking credit. My wife does most of that for that
Yeah.
business, but we kind of learned that together and learning how to manage the calendar. So whatever business you're going to start, you might think, oh, I'm going to have one problem, just times by 10.
Yeah.
Everything, oh, I'm going to have to put this effort in, it's going to go smoothly, everything will be fine. Don't underestimate, everything's going to be tenfold of what you imagine it to be. Um, but that's unfortunately why a lot of businesses don't succeed, because people come across these different problems and come across these different negatives and think, it's not worth it. But then the stumbling blocks at the start, that's unfortunately when most people quit, and that's when most people think, it's not worth it.
Hmm.
But every business owner who you speak to has had like some level of success, whether they've been in business for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I guarantee you won't ask anybody like, oh, how was business? How did it start up? And everyone like, oh, it was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, really easy.
Smooth sailing.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's funny whenever we sit down with people who've been doing this for quite a while, and we always laugh about the start, and everyone always talks about the struggles at the start because that's where most of the stories are created. And anybody who's done a business for a while, it'll tell you like it's not straightforward, it's not easy. But for me, the struggles is what is the difference between people who have success and people who don't.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I think it's like just trusting the process as well. It's just like completely believing that like this is going to work out. Like this is where I want to be, even if it's just not really happening right now. Like it is just really trusting the process. I think when I first started here as well, it was really trusting the process. There was a campaign switch. There was just really
Yeah,
like nothing going on really that I could really like be a part of. It was kind of just me sitting back waiting to jump in and kind of, actually start working. So it was really just trust the process. I have faith. Everything is going to work out. I hope. Like fingers crossed it did. Like thankfully.
yeah. I remember when I was really young, starting out. Someone told me like to be optimistic, you have to like live in the future all the time.
Yeah.
But obviously, be present, live in the now. I know that's what we have to do in terms of what we're doing day to day with business and especially family. But whenever I come across like a negative or come across like struggle, which again you mentioned there, in this business that we work in, we definitely have over the last 12 months. My head's always like, where are we going to be 12 months from now? Where are we going to be from
Mhm.
3 years from now? Where are we going to be 10 years from now? And the Glen now 39, I definitely thank myself for what I did back in my mid 20s. And I'm sure
Yeah.
when I get to, God, so time just go quick, but I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll be thanking myself for what I've done now and what I did back then. So yeah, whenever I come across something which is difficult, I just try to put my mind in the future and think like, I won't be thinking about this problem that I'm facing today. In 10 years' time, I'll probably be laughing about it. Hopefully.
100%. And you're just like really setting the foundations now for the life that you're going to have in 10 years, you know, whether it's sitting on a beach somewhere, working from your laptop. That's definitely the goal for me anyway. Like, but yeah, that's you're definitely setting the foundations now for where you want to be. And like, what is that next step for you? Obviously, you have your businesses now, but I know it's probably hard to imagine like where you are going to be in 10 years. But what is the next step for you? Where is all of this going to take you? Do you hope?
It's a good question. I know in my head what I want my personal life to look like, and what I'm working towards as an individuals. Um, and it sounds cheesy, but it's always to look after the family first, make sure they have
Hmm.
no worries, and that's one of the ultimate goals I think a lot of people work for. The lifestyle that we're going to have is eventually when the organisations and the different businesses are built up, and we're being able to say replace myself and have other incredible people having great careers, because I think that's one of the big things. If I can help other people like yourself and other people that work in our organisation have amazing lifestyles, the byproduct is I get kind of looked after myself. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll eventually have holiday homes in different parts in the world. That's one of the goals. Because living in Newcastle, looking out the window right now, we have
Yeah,
the weather that we see sort of 300 days a year, which is that
I know.
grey, non-existent, not too. I'm going to say not too cold. We get used to it up here, but that weather that's just is grey and norm. So yeah, being able to jump on a plane and go to the holiday home, that's one of the things I'll do for relaxation. But business wise, we're definitely going to be growing. Um, Next to the sales organisation is going to be in America in the next 2 years. You mentioned Optimize, we've got someone who's wanting to open up a brand of it in Australia, which is exciting. When the
Hmm.
kids are at school full time, we'll buy a couple more holiday homes, and my wife will be looking after that. So yeah, I think we're always looking for the next challenge as entrepreneurs. You kind of help yourself. You're always looking to
Yeah.
challenge yourself, and I think that's something which is just a trait within entrepreneurs, is we can't help push ourselves. It's funny. I was sat down with one of our partners yesterday, and he was 67 year old, and the role he was doing, he brought one of his teams over to join this business 9 months ago, and I was just thinking like that's so motivating and inspiring to hear that when he was 66, he was still so excited to move forward with what he was wanting to
Hmm.
do. Like he made a huge switch at the age of 66 and was
Yeah.
traveled up from down south to Newcastle to visit us for like a 2 hour meeting, then drove back down. And that just made me excited that someone
At
is
that age.
doing it by choice as well. But also
Yeah.
maybe that's also like just entrepreneurs, and like we can't help ourselves sometimes.
No, definitely. Yeah. Cause I think I was definitely in that mindset as well as like, well, I'm nearly 24, but I'm like, oh, I have to do all of this before I'm 30 and I have to, like have whatever it is that I'm doing. But then it's like, well, I see people in like their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. Like my dad is 50 something and he's just went self-employed. And it's kind of just like, right, okay, well,
Yeah.
it's my life isn't going to completely end and I'm not going to, die when I'm 30.
Yeah, I was reading an article, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, and the average age for a startup entrepreneur in the UK is 43 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I don't know I don't know what I expected the number to be. Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit more, but yeah, it just shows that a lot of people who are, obviously it's 43 is the average age for a startup. But like you said, your dad's in his
Um,
50s, going self-employed. So I think a lot of people want to go self-employed now and take more control,
yeah.
whether that be through the last few years of a lot of stuff going on with things that are out of our control, whether it be
Uh-huh.
lockdowns and wars and energy crisis, which all them different things affect business, but also affects people's personal life. And at the end of the day, if you're employed by a company and you have no say in the business, and they kind of control how you're gonna be able to look after yourself and your family.
Exactly. You know, I love that. I do think there's definitely a trend of, yeah, like you say, people just taking control of their lives now, setting those foundations for just a bit more of a, I don't know, positive future. I think self-employed is definitely the way to go. I think
But yeah, if
it's
you're 24, Jess, you've got plenty of time. You've got
I've
absolutely.
got plenty of time. I know I'm not gonna die when I'm 30. Life is still gonna continue on. So
There will be people listening to this and watching this,
I know.
shouting at the radio or shouting at the phone like you're 24 years old, you're plenty.
It's just like get over yourself. Like, come on, be for real.
No, when you're in the now though, like I remember being in my early 20s thinking I've got loads of time, like loads of time, and all of a sudden late 20s, early 30s, like say I'm 40 in September, so it does go quick. But I think that's one of the things you got to do is understand you have time, be present, enjoy, but
Yeah.
can go quick as well. And I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit there.
Exactly. Just take each day as it comes. I think just jump at challenges when they come, jump at opportunities as they come. I think just really like saying what you want as well out of your career, your business, whatever it is that you're doing, you know, is just really like making it clear like what your expectations are, what you want out of your future as well. I think that's really important in any business, I feel.
Yes, definitely.
100%. But yeah, what is then you said that you have more guests coming on the podcast. What is like the next, what are we going to look forward to in the next few episodes?
Yeah, so we've got a few people who are going to be on. I'm not sure the order yet, but we've got
Hmm.
a guy called Yanis who's a recruitment expert. So I know for businesses, and you'll know yourself, one of the key points to
Yeah.
business is recruiting the correct people. So that's going to be a point which will help people who's running businesses and also new startups as well. We've got someone from a finance sector coming on board as well, because as much as business can be all positivity and all the great things that you see on Instagram, but the finances behind it have got to be right as well. So that's getting
Yeah.
lined. We've got a gentleman who is an energy coach, helps people look after the bodies and the minds as well. So that's going to be a great episode. We've got a personal trainer coming on as well. Just going through my head now. We've got a guy who runs an axe throwing business, and
Hmm.
I'll have to forgive us. I think he's the UK champion, a European champion of axe throwing.
That's
So
crazy.
how we turned a hobby into a business as well. So yeah, there's lots of different backgrounds, and I'm sure there'll be a few more confirmed by next week once we figure out what we're doing with all this technology as well.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
is the technology of it, but we'll figure it out, I'm
mm,
sure.
just glancing over my notes and making sure we got through everything that we wanted to get through just for this. Yeah. But yeah, whilst we're
Yeah.
through the social medias, if people want to reach out to as well, so we can hopefully help as well. We've got I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram and Twitter/X, whatever it gets
Yeah.
called these days. So nothing fancy. It's just at Glen Laws, and then we'll be giving you some links to the other businesses I'm involved in as well, and Jess works inside, so we can hopefully help and add some value as well. So all the different channels that you're listening to. So all tech going well. This should be on YouTube, Spotify. Uh, it will be on Apple Pods and all the other platforms as well. And if it isn't, over the next few weeks, we'll be working hard to get it on everything.
If it's not there now, it will be.
Yeah. So, Jess, thank you. This wasn't too painful.
It was actually like so fun, I think, for the first episode back.
The recording part was easy. The
Yeah,
technical follow it, that might be a bit of a head scratcher, but I'm sure we'll get through that part as well.
we will 100%.
But no, thank you so much for jumping on the pilot episodes as well, because this could have still can't go anywhere. But if you're watching this, if you're listening, please do subscribe on all the different platforms that it will be on. You can subscribe and follow, so you'll get notifications as the new episodes are coming out. So yeah, Jess, thank you very much. It's truly appreciated, and we'll catch you all next week. Thanks, Jess.
Bye. Thanks for having me.